I'll never forget the moment my phone lit up with that text. "You're letting us lose everything. Call me now." It was from my dad, and it hit me like a punch to the gut. "My name's Lila. I'm 32, and just 3 months ago I walked out of my parents' house for what I swore was the last time. No screaming, no slamming doors, just me, a backpack with some clothes and my old guitar case heading into the night. Now here I was, sprawled on my thrift store couch in a tiny studio apartment, watching my phone buzz like a hornet's nest. Their numbers flashed across the screen. Mom, Dad, even my deadbeat sister Tara. I almost laughed. Almost. But to understand why I didn't, I need to take you back. Growing up, my family wasn't the cozy sitcom kind. Love came with a price tag, and I was the one footing the bill. I'm a graphic designer now, freelancing for tech startups, but back then, I was the good kid. Straight A's, no parties, no trouble. Tara, though, she was 35 going on 17. Mom and Dad's little princess who could crash her car, flunk out of art school, and still get a pat on the head. "She's just creative," they'd say. Meanwhile, I was juggling 2 jobs at 18, waitressing and tutoring, just to save for community college. By 25, I'd clawed my way into a decent career. I never asked my parents for a dime, but Tara? She was a black hole of need. At 30, she moved back home, jobless, with a trail of failed Etsy shops behind her. And when Mom and Dad's diner started tanking, yeah, they owned a greasy spoon called Burger Bonanza. Guess who they turned to? Not Tara with her visionary tie-dye projects. Me. It started small. "Lila, can you cover the electric bill just this once?" I had the cash, so I did it, no big deal, right? Soon, just this once became every month. Electric turned into groceries, then rent for the diner's storefront. I'd drop off cash or Venmo them hundreds, watching my savings shrink while Tara lounged at home, scrolling Instagram. I didn't fight it at first. They were family, and I'd been raised to believe family sticks together. But 3 months ago, everything changed. It was a rainy Thursday. I'd just finished a killer deadline, 12 hours straight designing a logo for some crypto app. Exhausted, I stopped by their house with a bag of takeout, figuring they'd forgotten to cook again. I walked in, soaked from the downpour, and found Mom glaring at me from the recliner. Tara was sprawled on the couch, texting. Dad paced the kitchen, muttering. The air felt thick, like a storm was brewing indoors. "Lila, we need to talk," Mom said, her voice clipped. I dropped the takeout on the counter, already dreading what came next. Dad stepped in, arms crossed. "We've been thinking. You're doing well for yourself. It's time you step up more." I blinked, confused. "Step up? I've been paying your rent for 2 years. Mom scoffed. "That's nothing. The diner's bleeding money. We need real help." My jaw tightened. "Real help? I'm already stretched thin." Tara chimed in, not even looking up from her phone. "Chill, Lila. It's just money. You've got plenty." That's when I lost it. Plenty? "I'm not your ATM." "What about you, Tara? Why don't you pitch in?" Mom's eyes flashed. "Don't you dare talk to your sister like that. She's trying." I laughed, a sharp, bitter sound. "Trying? She's been trying since she was 20. I've been propping you all up while she does nothing." Dad's voice cut through, icy. "We're asking you to take over the diner payments. It's too much for us." That was it. Something snapped inside me. I'd given them everything, my time, my money, my sanity, and they still wanted more. "You want me to pay for everything while Tara plays influencer?" "That's your plan?" I asked, voice shaking. Mom stood furious. "We thought you'd want to help your family." I grabbed my backpack. "I've helped enough." Tara smirked. "You're such a drama queen." Mom's final blow came fast. "Leave then. Get out and don't come back." I stared at her, then nodded. "Fine." And I walked out into the rain. For 3 months, I was free. No calls, no guilt trips. I built a quiet life, coffee shops, late-night sketching, gigs with my guitar. Until that text from Dad. I stared at it, heart pounding. Why now? What had gone wrong? My phone kept buzzing, but I didn't answer. Not yet. Something told me this was just the start. The buzzing wouldn't stop. I sat there staring at my phone like it was a ticking bomb. Dad's text, "You're letting us lose everything," burned into my brain. Then Mom's call came through, followed by Tara's. I let them all go. To voicemail, but curiosity gnawed at me. What could they possibly want after 3 months of silence? I'd walked away from their mess, so why were they dragging me back now? I took a deep breath and played the first message. Mom's voice blasted through the speaker, shrill and frantic. "Lila, the bank called. We're late on the diner's rent, 2 months behind. How could you let this happen?" I snorted. Let this happen. I'd been the one blowing cash on vintage aprons instead of paying bills. Next was Dad, calmer but clipped. Lila, call me. We could lose the diner. This is serious. Then Tara, whining. Dude, you know they're broke. Fix this. I tossed the phone onto the couch, pacing my tiny apartment. The nerve of them. Acting like I'd abandoned a sinking ship I'd been bailing out for years. I grabbed a coffee mug, hands shaking, and replayed the last 3 years in my head. Started with small favors, sure, but by last year I was sending them $800 a month. That's not chump change when you're freelancing and rent's due. Back then, I'd show up at their house, Burger Bonanza's faded sign creaking out front, and Mom would sigh about tough times. Dad would nod along, muttering how Tara just needed a break before her next big idea. I'd hand over the cash, watching Tara doodle on napkins instead of, say, getting a job. I never asked questions, I just paid. Why? Guilt, maybe. Or habit. But that night 3 months ago flipped the script. Mom's words, "Get out and don't come back," echoed as I stormed into the rain. I'd kept my promise, cutting them off cold. No more money, no more visits. I thought they'd figure it out. Sell the diner, maybe. Or, wild idea, make Tara pitch in. Apparently not. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Dad. Lila, we're desperate. The bank's threatening to seize the property. I froze. Seize the property? That diner was their whole world. Mom's dream since she was 19, flipping burgers at her uncle's joint. I pictured it. The chipped red booths. The jukebox that only played Elvis. Losing it would crush them. A tiny part of me wavered. Was I being too harsh? Then Tara texted, "You're so selfish. They're freaking out because of you." Selfish. That word lit a fire in me. I'd spent years being anything but selfish, working overtime, skipping vacations, all to keep their heads above water. And Tara? She'd spent that time perfecting her selfie angles. I typed a reply, fingers flying. Not my mess anymore. I hit send and waited. Mom called again. I ignored it, but the voicemails piled up. I caved and listened. Lila, you're breaking my heart, she sobbed. We raised you better than this. Raised me better? I grew up microwaving leftovers while they poured every dime into that. I raised myself. Dad's next one was worse. If we lose the diner, we've got nothing. Please, Lila. I sank onto the couch, guilt clawing at me. What if they really couldn't survive without me? I'd built a life here. My sketches. Pinned to the walls, my guitar propped in the corner. But their panic was loud, insistent. I scrolled through old bank statements on my laptop. Thousands sent over the years. Where had it all gone? The diner couldn't be that broke, could it? Another text from Tara. Answer your phone, jerk. This isn't a game. I smirked. Oh. It wasn't a game to her now that the cash flow stopped. I pictured her sulking at home, no clue how to help. My resolve hardened. They'd had years to sort this out. Why was it still my problem? But then Dad's final text landed. We've got 1 week before they take it. Call me. 1 week. The deadline hung over me like a storm cloud. I could ignore them, let it crash down, or I could pick up the phone and hear them out. My finger hovered over Dad's number. What had they been doing with my money all this time? Something didn't add up. I needed answers, and fast. I didn't call Dad back that night. Instead, I sat there, laptop glowing, scrolling through years of bank transfers. My apartment was quiet except for the hum of the fridge and the occasional car horn outside. The numbers stared back at me. $500 here, $200 there. Money I'd sent to save the diner. It added up to over $20,000 in 3 years. My stomach twisted. How could they still be drowning? I grabbed my guitar, strumming a few chords to calm down. But my mind wouldn't. Quit. I remembered the little things. Mom's new earrings last Christmas. Tara's vintage leather jacket she swore was a steal. Had my money been keeping the diner afloat? Or was it funding something else? I needed to know, but confronting them felt like walking into a trap. The next morning my phone was a war zone, 15 missed calls, texts begging me to stop being stubborn. Mom's latest, "You're tearing us apart, Lila. Call us." I rolled my eyes. Tearing them apart? They'd been fraying long before I left. Growing up, I'd watch Mom scrub the diner's counters late at night while Dad balanced the books, cursing under his breath. Tara would be too tired to help, doodling in the corner. I'd step in, washing dishes, running errands because someone had to. By 16, I was their unofficial employee, unpaid, while Tara got a shiny new phone for her art. I never complained. I thought that's what family did. Sacrifice. But now, at 32, I saw it differently. They'd leaned on me because I let them, and when I stopped, they panicked. I sipped my coffee, replaying that last fight. Mom's venom, "Don't come back," had felt final. So why were they acting like I'd betrayed them? I opened my banking app again, tracing the payments. Last year, I'd sent $10,000 alone. The diner's rent was $2,000 a month. Basic math said they should have been fine. Unless... A dark thought crept in. What if they'd been skimming my money, using it for themselves while letting the bills pile up? I shook my head. No way. They wouldn't do that. Would they? I needed proof, but digging into their mess meant stepping back into the chaos I'd escaped. My phone buzzed again. "Dad, Lila, we're out of options. Please." I stared at it, torn. Part of me wanted to help, just one more time like always. But the other part, the one that had finally tasted freedom, screamed to let them sink. I compromised. I'd call, but not to cave, to get answers. I dialed Dad. He picked up on the first ring. "Lila, thank God." "Hold up," I cut in. "Why are you behind on rent when I sent you thousands?" Silence. Then, "It's complicated. The diner's been slow." "Slow?" I pressed. "I covered rent for years. Where'd the money go?" He sighed. "We had expenses. Tara needed help and—" "Tara?" I snapped. "What, more art supplies?" "She's struggling," he said, defensive. "You wouldn't understand." I laughed cold. "Oh, I understand. I've been bankrolling her struggles while you let the diner rot." Mom's voice cut in. She'd grabbed the phone. "How dare you? We're your family." "Family?" I shot back. "Family doesn't kick me out, then beg when the cash dries up," she gasped. "You're so ungrateful." "Ungrateful?" I interrupted. "I gave you everything. What did you do with it?" Silence again. Too long. My gut churned. "Mom, what aren't you telling me?" She stammered. We tried to keep up. It's not our fault." I hung up, heart racing. They were hiding something. I paced, piecing it together. The diner wasn't just slow. They'd been reckless, or worse. I grabbed my keys, time to dig deeper. I'd swing by the bank, check the account I used to send money to. If they'd lied, I'd find out. As I locked my door, Tara texted, "You're making this worse. Just pay it." I smirked. "Not this time, sis." The truth was coming, and I was ready to face it. The bank was a 20-minute drive, and I spent it blasting punk rock to drown out my nerves. My old hatchback rattled as I pulled into the lot, the Burger Bonanza account number scribbled on a napkin in my pocket. I wasn't sure what I'd find, but my gut said it'd be bad. I walked in, plastering on a polite smile for the teller, a guy named Mike, maybe 40, with a bored stare. "Hi, I need info on an account I used to send money to," I said, sliding him the number. "It's my parents' business account." Mike tapped at his keyboard, then frowned. "You're not on the account. I can't share details unless they authorize it." I leaned in, voice low. "Look, I sent them thousands. They're saying it's gone, and I just need to know why." He hesitated, then sighed. "Off the record, I can tell you the basics. Account's been delinquent for 6 months. Payment stopped way before you cut off." I blinked. 6 months? I was sending money up to 3 months ago. Mike shrugged. "Then it wasn't going to rent. That's all I've got." I thanked him and stumbled out, head spinning. 6 months. I'd sent $2,500 just 4 months back. Enough for rent and then some. Where'd it go? I sat in my car, staring at the dashboard. Mom's earrings, Tara's jacket, Dad's new fishing gear last summer. They'd been spending my money, not saving the diner. Rage bubbled up, hot and sharp. I needed to confront them now. I drove to their house, the diner's neon sign flickering in the distance. My phone buzzed nonstop. Mom. Dad, Tara. But I ignored it. I pulled up, gravel crunching under my tires, and stormed to the door. Dad opened it, looking haggard. "Lila, thank God." "Save it," I snapped, pushing past. Mom was on the couch, eyes red. Tara sulked in the corner, phone in hand. "What's going on?" Dad asked. I crossed my arms. "The bank says, you've been behind for 6 months. I sent you money 4 months ago. Where is it?" Mom flinched. "We had other bills." "Bills?" I laughed. "Like Tara's shopping sprees? Or your new toys, Dad?" Tara shot up. "Don't drag me into this." "Oh, you're in it," I fired back. "I've been funding your lazy ass for years." Mom stood, voice shaking. "Stop it, Lila. We needed that money." "For what?" I demanded. "The diner's dying and you're lying to me." Dad stepped in. "We thought we could catch up." "Catch up?" I cut in. "You've been pocketing my cash while I worked myself to death." Silence. Tara muttered, "You're overreacting." That was it. I grabbed my phone, pulling up the bank app. Let's see how much I've sent. $20,000 in 3 years. You tell me where it went or I'm done for good. Mom's face crumpled. We borrowed some for Tara's business ideas. I stared. You mean her flops you stole from me for that? Dad hung his head. We didn't steal. We just redirected. Redirected, I repeated, voice flat. You kicked me out when I stopped paying and now I know why. You're broke because you screwed yourselves. Mom sobbed. We're sorry, Lila. We need you. I shook my head. You needed my money, not me. I turned to leave, but Tara grabbed my arm. You can't abandon us. I yanked free. Watch me. I stormed out, their yells fading behind me. Back in my car, I gripped the wheel, chest heaving. They'd lied, used me, and still expected me to fix it. My phone lit up. Dad, we'll lose everything, please. I deleted it. They'd made their bed, but as I drove off, a sick feeling settled in. This wasn't over. They'd fight dirty. I could feel it. I didn't sleep that night. My apartment felt too small, the walls closing in as I replayed their excuses. Redirected. What a joke. I strummed my guitar until my fingers ached, trying to shake the anger. By morning, my phone was a battlefield. Voicemails, texts, even a Venmo request from Tara for $50. For gas, she wrote. I laughed, bitter. They were shameless. I made coffee, staring at the mug as steam curled up. $20,000. That could have been a down payment on a house, a new car, a real life. Instead, it was gone, frittered away on Tara's dreams and God knows what else. I'd been their lifeline and they'd cut me loose the second I said no. Now they were clawing back, desperate. Dad called at 8 a.m. I picked up, too tired. To dodge. Lila, he started, voice low. We're sorry, we messed up bad. The diner's got 2 days before the bank takes it. I stayed silent, he pushed on. We'll pay you back, just help us this once. Pay me back? I said, sharp. With what? You've got nothing left. Mom's voice broke in. Please, Lila, this is our legacy. Legacy? I snapped. You mean the legacy of lying to me, using me? She cried, we had no choice. You had every choice, I shouted. You chose Tara over me every time. You chose to blow my money instead of saving your legacy. I'm done. Dad tried again. Lila, we're begging. I hung up, hands trembling. Begging wasn't enough, not anymore. Tara texted next. You're heartless. Mom's a wreck because of you. Heartless. After everything, I was the villain. I fired back. Tell Mom to cry to the bank, I'm out. She replied instantly, you'll regret this. A chill ran through me. Regret what? What were they planning? I needed air. I grabbed my jacket and walked to the park, the crisp March breeze cutting through my haze. Kids laughed on swings. Dogs chased tennis balls. Normal life so far from mine. I sat on a bench, replaying it all. They'd admitted it. My money hadn't saved the diner. It had padded their lies. And now, with 2 days left, they'd try anything to drag me back. My phone buzzed. Dad again. Meet us at the diner. We'll explain everything. Explain? They'd had years to explain. But something tugged at me. Closure, maybe. I drove. Over, pulling up to Burger Bonanza's peeling paint and dim lights. Inside, Mom and Dad sat at a booth. Tara slouched beside them. They looked defeated, but I wasn't buying it. Lila, Dad started, we're sorry. We took your money for granted. Mom nodded, teary. We thought Tara's ideas would pay off. I crossed my arms. And when they didn't, you kept taking. Why? Tara glared. Because you're the successful one. You owed us. Owed you, I laughed. I owed you nothing, you owed me honesty. Dad slid a paper across the table, an IOU for $20,000. We'll sign it. Help us now, and we'll repay you. I stared at it, then at them. You think this fixes it? You've got 2 days, sell the diner, figure it out. Mom sobbed. We can't, it's all we have. Then you should have thought of that before, I said, standing. I'm not your fix. I walked out, their pleas echoing. Back home, I blocked their numbers. Silence settled in, heavy but freeing. They'd lost me, not the other way. Around. But as I sank onto my couch, a nagging doubt lingered. What did Tara mean by regret? I'd find out soon enough. The next day felt surreal. No calls, no texts. My phone was a ghost town after I'd blocked them. I strummed my guitar, sketching a logo for a client, trying to reclaim normalcy. The diner's fate hung out there, 2 days from doom, but it wasn't my burden anymore. I'd cut the cord, or so I thought. Around noon, a knock jolted me. I opened the door to a guy in a cheap suit, holding a clipboard. Lila Grayson? He asked. Yeah, I said, wary. He handed me an envelope. You've been served. My stomach dropped. Served, I ripped it open, legal papers, a lawsuit from my parents. They were suing me for $50,000, claiming I'd abandoned familial duties and caused financial distress. I laughed, stunned. They'd turned their mess into my fault, legally. Rage flared, but then it hit me. Tara's Yule. Regret this. This was their Hail Mary, a desperate swing to guilt me into paying. I called my friend Jess, a paralegal, and read her the summons. This is insane, she said. They've got no case, it's a scare tactic. She was right. No judge would buy it. I'd never signed anything, never promised to fund them forever. But the audacity burned. They'd rather drag me through court than face their own failure. I spent the afternoon with Jess drafting a response. We'd countersue for the $20,000 they'd redirected, plus emotional damages. Two could play dirty. That night, I drove to the diner, needing to see it one last time. The sign was dark, the lot empty. I sat in my car, memories flooding back, flipping burgers at 14, laughing with Dad over burnt fries. It could have been different, but they'd chosen this. As I turned to leave, headlights flashed. Tara's beat-up sedan rolled up. She got storming over. Happy now? They're selling the diner tomorrow. You killed it. I stepped out, calm. No, Tara, you all did. Where'd my money go? Your businesses? She smirked. Some, Mom and Dad took the rest. Vacations, bills. They deserved it after raising us. I stared, floored. Deserved it? They stole from me. They earned it, she snapped. You were always the golden child. They leaned on you because you could take it. The twist hit hard. Golden child. I'd been their mule, not their pride. You're delusional, I said. They used us both, you just got the perks. She lunged, shoving me. You ruined everything. I stumbled but held firm. No, Tara, they did, and now you're all paying for it. She froze, eyes wide, then deflated. They're broke. We're done. I nodded. Good. I got in my car and drove off, her silhouette shrinking in the rear view. Back home, I tossed the lawsuit on the table, a grim trophy. They'd lost the diner, their leverage, and me. The twist? I didn't sue them back. Jess had the papers ready, but I let it go. Not out of mercy, out of power. They'd destroyed themselves without my help. Next morning, I got a text from an unknown number. Diner sold, we're moving, goodbye. No name, but I knew it was Dad. I deleted it, strummed my guitar, and smiled. Freedom tasted better than revenge. That's the end of today's story. Did things turn out the way you thought, or were there some surprises along the way? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to hit the like button. And if you haven't joined the community yet, now's the perfect time. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you're always the first to catch new stories. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next adventure.